Well, hello, you. Yes, you. I'm talking to you. Hello. What are you doing? I know you want to keep scrolling, but stop. Come on in. Come be with me. I am Victoria. This is the Soul Nurture channel, a channel that is dedicated to the transformational journey as souls having a human experience. Are you interested? I hope you are. Come and join me for a little bit, pour a cup of tea or whatever you want to take in to support and nourish your body as we take time to nurture your soul. Okay, so I'm here to talk about the full moon happening in Gemini. I always have to sort out my hair when I start. It's so funny when once I hit the camera, I feel so ready or hit record, and then all these little distractions show up, which really can be part of this full moon in Gemini happening on December 15th at 1:01 a.m. Pacific time. Adjust accordingly wherever you are in the world, and do let me know where you are viewing from, wherever you are in the world. I love that, especially during Sagittarius season, which we are still in, which is all about really connecting internationally, expanding from our little tiny place in the world to the whole world consciousness, right? So I've had viewers from Ireland and England and just all over, and I'm always delighted to know where you're viewing from. Even if you're in my neighborhood, let me know with a comment and a like. Okay. Um, so, how are you feeling? First of all, how are you doing? You know, I've I did a video. My last video was about transformation, and it will continue to be about transformation on this channel. That's what this is about. And when I look at the lunation cycle, which means the new moon or the full moon, I'm I'm using these cycles, the cosmic cycles, as times to offer some transformational tools, to offer a space for you to check in to, I call it soul tracking. Notice how you're doing, how your world's unfolding, tracking your patterns, tracking the world and taking it back. Remember, we are the microcosms of the macrocosms. What's going on in the world? Where is that going on in me? What is it showing me, teaching me, revealing to me? Especially with a full moon. Full moons come, and full moons, by the way, if you don't know, is an opposition between the sun and the moon. They're 180 degrees apart. And so this is why we see the full moon, because the moon does not emit its own light, but the sun is reflecting off the moon. So on a full moon, if the sky is clear, you will see this bright orb of beautiful light coming back, moonlight on you, which is lovely. But where I live in the Pacific Northwest, you never know if you're going to see the beautiful moon. But that is a metaphor for the reflection, what the moon is reflecting back, what the moon is illuminating to you. Full moons are a culmination point where I like to say, what is, so say we set intention with the new moon, whether it's the new moon that happened 2 weeks ago or 6 months ago, the new moon in, we just had a new moon two weeks ago. Now we're moving in, or not exactly 2 weeks ago. The last new moon, which when we get to the 15th, will have been 2 weeks apart. I can talk. And we tend to set intentions with the new moon. The full moon is growing the intentions. And then when we get to the culmination point of the full moon, often what I find is what is revealed shows us what still needs to be healed, cleared, released, in order to continue the journey towards our soul desires. And we're always, I had this message come to me in meditation this morning, always this unfolding story we have, and story is a key word for this full moon in Gemini. I'll get into that in a minute more. Always, it's like aligning our soul. This is what came, aligning our souls in the direction of our possibilities. And we can be out of whack. We can get like too much in the human experience. We can get too distracted. These are all, I'm setting this all up for the full moon story unfolding. I'm dropping words that are connected to the full moon in Gemini. Are you curious yet? Are you ready to listen and expand your style of communication and the story you're telling yourself about yourself in the world? So yes, full moon in Gemini is a powerful time. Boy, we have a lot of um, changes that we've just moved through, and more that we're going to be experiencing as we get closer to 2025. And by the way, this is the last full moon of 2024. Can you believe it? We're at the end of the year. And I know for me, and tell me how it feels for you, this year flew by. It just flew by. So this is, by the way, going to be my longer version. What happens with me when I do these lunations? So now for the full moon, I sit with it. I look at the chart. I think about it. I feel into it. I write a few notes down. But really, I don't really feel the full moon completely until I start talking about it, which, especially with this full moon in Gemini, very much, it's almost like with the full moon in Gemini, we can't really know what we know until we expand on what we know by talking about it and or journaling about it, right? So there's a lot here, and I want to touch on this, and I'm going to take my time, my longer version. You can move fast forward or whatever. I haven't done the timestamp thing. So here's the thing. Every time I do a video, I think it's my last one. And then I just feel like, keep going, keep going. I'm getting all kinds of emails from people who want to help me grow my channel and get me more viewers. And, I honestly still feel like I'm a new beginner here. I'm just practicing speaking to my camera with messages that I hope to share to help you right where you are on your journey of unfolding. I don't edit. I just push a button and talk. And so sometimes the videos are longer, sometimes they're shorter. And we'll see what the new year brings, because I feel lots of changes are happening for all of us, especially me and this channel. So I haven't done the timestamp thing, is what I'm saying. People are reaching out to me to wanting to promote my channel, which I'm honored by. But I feel like I need to fine tune it a little bit more. So if you are somebody who's creative that way, you can help me create an organic channel. I don't want to change what I do too much, but I wouldn't mind improving. So if that's you and that's what your professional skills are, then send me an email at thesoulnurturer@gmail.com. Okay, so right now, as we move towards this full moon in Gemini, I'm really feeling a lot of shifts happening. Like, it's been bumpy, it's been choppy, right? I'm in the smooth waters. That's my last video. I was talking about the transformational waters. Are you in the smooth waters, the choppy waters? Where are you? I'm kind of in a smooth feeling right now. I feel like this full moon in Gemini, again, the last full moon of the year, which also takes place on the day when Mercury goes direct, it's been a time of reflecting, reviewing, and for us that are in the northern hemisphere, that's the season we're in too, isn't it? Moving towards winter, turning within, reflecting, reviewing. Well, so Mercury will be going direct on this full moon, but Mars is in retrograde right now. Went into retrograde, I think, on the 6th of December. So I'll touch on that as well. But Venus is now in Aquarius, and Pluto is permanently now in Aquarius until, 2043, I think. Can you feel that? I can. I really can. And I know a lot of people say you can't feel a shift like that so far away. I feel it. I do. And especially wherever Pluto now is in your natal chart, what house that's in. It's in my first house of identity. So yes, I feel it. So we're going to look at, and what is the degree? I'm going to go back to the chart. You want to look at where 23 degrees of Gemini is in your chart. That's where this lunation is happening, where the full moon is happening in your chart, where the full moon is going to eliminate that house, whatever that house is, for the qualities of that house, and an invitation to expand, to have a really illuminated, amplified look, especially because Jupiter is not in direct conjunction, but it's in the same sign of this lunation. So the moon And Gemini at 23 degrees, and Jupiter is at 15 degrees. So Jupiter expands even more. And since it's a full moons can bring more emotions to the surface, more subconscious material to the surface. So all that can be amplified. So you may be more emotional, although there's a lot of air and fire in this. So it's more like it'll come to the surface. You'll have an idea about it. You'll have perhaps a solution, some thoughts about it. This is a perfect time to journal, to externalize all that inner world noise, right? So, so where is that happening in your chart? And if you don't know how to do that, I'm offering still, when time provides, 20-minute free consultations. If you have not had one, first come, first serve. I only do 6 of those now because I was getting like bombarded and I was having a hard time scheduling all of those, but 6 spots. Do you want one? Go to my website, victoriajazzard.com. I also invite you to go to my website to look at the testimonials and see what kind of work I offer. Yes, I'm a transformational hypnotherapist, but I'm also a Jungian-based spiritual director. I call myself a soul guide, a soul worker, a soul nurturer, because that's the kind of hypnotherapy I like to do, to reconnect you to your soul potential and to help you nurture your potential into your possibilities, okay? So, all right, let me go back to my notes. There's a lot to cover here, so I'm going to try to slow down and pace with grace. So some themes that you may be noticing under this full moon, because it's in Gemini, and the axis between Gemini and Sagittarius is all about communication, looking at the details, expanding to higher possibilities. So some of the themes may be, well, definitely curiosity, communication style. How are you communicating? How can you communicate better? Being aware of the stories we tell. Like, we all tend to tell stories, and here's how that goes. When we're children, and this is my simplified version of how we create core beliefs, patterns, and stories. So when we're younger and we are dependent on our external world, our caregivers, our family of origin, got all this beautiful soul potential, but what we first have to do is adapt in, fit in to meet our main core needs, which are safety and belonging, right? And so we begin to create the story of who we are, who we believe we are. And this is a time we're checking our beliefs. Belief, the middle of belief is lie or believe, L-I-E. So some of these beliefs we create when we are younger, and a lot of them are not even based on truth. It's just what we adapted in to fit in. So when a need, we all have needs, when a need is not met, and I always say we never blame or shame our parents or families of origin. They did the best they could with the programming they have or had in their subconscious material. Which, by the way, subconscious material is where we operate 95% of the time, only in our consciousness like 5% of the time. So a parent could have that conscious choice. I want to be the best parent ever, and yet the subconscious material doesn't have that set up. So this is going to be a very loquacious video because I'm feeling into the full moon in Gemini. Gemini can be talkative and expressive and lots to say, okay? So I feel like when I do these new moon and full moons, it is like expressing the qualities of the moon. So that's why I'm probably going to talk a little bit more today. So anyway, we have our needs that we have to get met. When the needs are not met, we don't say, oh, that's my mom's inability. She's not capable at this time to meet that need. We make it about us. So when a need's not met, we create a felt sense that becomes a belief. I must not matter. That becomes a pattern. The pattern is like, well, if I don't matter, then I don't matter to them. I don't matter to me. I don't, the pattern is either overcompensating to try to matter or just giving up. then these become the needs not met, become our beliefs, become our patterns, become our stories. Our stories aren't based on reality, on truth, on facts. They're based on survival. They're based on conditioning. So we're going to be looking at our stories that we tell. How do you communicate to people who you are? And that's not just verbally, it's energetically and emotionally. And we get so unconsciously stuck in our stories. I catch myself still all the time telling a story that there's a part of me that I've really developed, that conscious observer that's like, you really want to tell that story again? So keep that in mind. Do you really want to tell that story again? Are the stories you're telling empowering you, limiting you, keeping you stuck in the same way of being? Okay. So we're going to be, because it's a full moon, the culmination, we see it all, we feel it all. It's an opportunity to sort it all, to shed it all, to say, not that, not that, not that, not where I'm going. All this is keeping me stuck. This is limiting me. So we're going to be shedding those limiting stories and expanding into new creative stories from our curiosity of what could be different. How can I do this better? What's more aligned with my soul potential? Questions like that. So we want to create these new stories that lift us up and flow our potential towards our possibilities. Okay, so we're questioning what we believe is true. Is it based on facts? Both about our inner worlds and our external worlds, right? Very important. So I'm going to look at the chart and just talk a little bit more about what I see in the chart. But yes, just coming off of Mercury retrograde, how is that for you? Remember, retrogrades are just slowing down time. With Mercury slowing down, really being careful with our communication, really being careful with, correspondence, are the emails we're sending, the text messages. I know that I got into some wonky situations because I communicated through texting or an email, and that gets, can get tangled, especially in a Mercury retrograde. Mercury was retrograde in Sagittarius, so we were reviewing where we were out of integrity with our own truth, where we needed to clean up some stuff, and we were looking at that possibly, and maybe we tried to clean it up, but now that Mercury is going to be reject. That's interesting. I always trust whatever comes. It's like when I do dream work, like, what's that word? What's that? So I said reject instead of retrograde. I was going to say retrograding. So reject. What do you need to reject from your old way of communicating so you can and reflect on a more empowered way of communicating your truth, that's in integrity. In integrity with who you are at a soul level. Okay, so as this is the last full moon of the year, I want to encourage you to think about what you just reviewed with Mercury in retrograde. What did you learn? What do you want to do differently? What do you want to reclaim in terms of your empowered voice, your truth telling, your expressing freely who you are? And we still have Mars in retrograde. Mars is our drive, it's our passion, it's our energy flow. So it is the end of the season, so it's like slowing down. So reflect on this year. Reflect on where for the new year, when, we've done all this reflection, where you want to be ready to go, even though it's just the calendar new year. The actual astrological new year happens in the spring. Spring equinox is when that starts. So it's the, what is it? The Gregorian calendar that we follow. It's a man-made system. We want to follow the natural cycles, right? But we still will be more prepared and ready to launch into the new year if we do some reflection time. What have I learned from this year? Where have I grown? Where am I still stuck? And this is a way that you can allow the Gemini full moon to help you expand and see, because the Gemini this axis Gemini Sagittarius is the teacher and the student. Both are connected to wanting to learn and grow and expand out of limiting places. Gemini with the mind, Sagittarius physically, roam about the world. So Venus in Aquarius now. Venus is how we love and our resources and how we are with money and our self-worth. And there it is in the same sign that Pluto is in, Aquarius, the humanitarian sign. So I feel like with Venus in Aquarius here on this lunation too, there's all this air and fire. It's a lot of ideas, a lot of getting ready to move in a new direction. To again, shed, release, let go. That's the full moon. All the limitations so you can be free to soar to new possibilities. And it's like, so because it's Aquarius, to liberate yourself from where you've held stories about relationships that are archaic and not who you are becoming. They don't support you and who you're becoming. And where do you have a desire to serve? I feel like this is also, this full moon is about where have you been cultivating or harvesting your gifts from your wounds that now you can teach and share and help others, help humanity to grow as well. Like we're starting to level out the playing field, right? With Pluto and Aquarius, it's more about we all have something to share and we all have something to learn from each other. And we all need to grow to higher possibilities, to bust out of the limited ways of thinking, seeing, and being the world and ourselves. Liberation, right? So another aspect I see in this that I'm not going to, touch on it, but feel into it more, is that the North Node is conjunct Neptune. And it's an out of sign conjunction, but to me it speaks to, especially with the end of the year, gearing up to vision for that higher soul call, that higher adventure that you haven't even begun to dream in yet, right? There's so much change coming. We are changing and growing, and that is key with this full moon. It's all mutable. Sag, Gemini are mutable signs. Sagittarius, Sun, mutable fire sign, and Gemini is mutable. Mutable is changing, fluid, flexible, like ready to just do something different, right? And so it is about that. I just feel like I really want to invite you, even if this seems so silly, to feel into your body and feel where you feel rigid and restricted, and let yourself move in a way that feels new, like uninhibited, expanding, like, and do gestures that are expansive, like opening and fluid. I know some of you are going to think this is kooky, but that's the feeling of this full moon, to get out of this tight, this is only the way I do it, this is the only way we've always done it, this is how it is, this is the world we live in, to no, it's kind of like busting out of a chick busting out of the egg, like they're pushing through to see, oh, there's a whole new world outside of this cramped world where I'm limited. There's a whole new world out there. This is what this full moon is inviting us to, the whole new world perspective. First your world, first you, and then the external world. What possibilities exist beyond where you've been limited? Feel into that. Do a movement that's expansive. Like I used to do this every morning years ago, and I think I'm going to do this again. I remember I was studying with Reverend Michael Beckwith at Agape, and I was in my pod, and we were talking about limitations, I think. And we did this exercise where we literally just stood up and went like this, just. And so I started doing that every morning instead of being like all tight in my same old way of being. It was like, I'm open creator, I'm open universe to all the magic and beauty and possibilities that are able to flow through me. as my contribution to the world, and that's my joy as a soul having a human experience. There's a lot of joy with this full moon, a lot of joy. I've been saying through Sagittarius season, but in particular with this full moon, follow your joy, expand your joy. Why? Because it leads you to your soul's desires. It's like, okay, you can wait for the guidance, you can wait for the right moment, or you can skip along and enjoy your life each and every day. See what doors open, see what people come drawn into you, see what books arrive, see what classes are available. This is completely expanding. Expanding. Another thing I would say with this gesture I was inviting you to do is to start, like, I'd get your journal open, and I would invite you to just crawl in on the ground into well, I guess like in a fetal position. Just tuck in tight, because we are actually rebirthing too. This is rebirthing. This whole year, Pluto in Aquarius is all about rebirthing a whole new humanity into the world, through you, as you, for the world. And then slowly, like, feel the constriction, feel the tightness, feel the limitation, and then just empower yourself to say it's time to grow out of this stuckness. It's time to grow out of limitations, to embody this, to feel it, right? Because there's so much more here that I can't even articulate and verbalize that you can feel in your body better. Moving into that expansion from the fetal position to opening and expanding, and just hold this for a little while. And then you could just open and say, what is the new story about me that wants to be birthed through me as my contribution to the unfolding collective story? Oh, that gives me chills. And do that, not just only on the full moon, but whenever you feel constricted and restricted. Okay? Is that the same word? I don't know. Constricted and restricted. Oh, we're just like shedding all of that. Okay? Other themes that may be coming to play here for you, for us, collectively. Again, you're the expert of you. You get to feel, what does this feel like? Be curious about it. Where can I apply this? Where am I being called? What am I being called to do? Pay attention to your dreams. We have a square, this sun and the moon are square to Neptune. So the square to Neptune is, action towards vision, dreaming in a new dream. But first, listen to your nightly dreams. What are they revealing to you? What are they calling you to? What healing is there still to do to shed what's in the way of manifesting your desires? And that North Node conjunct Neptune it's prepared to vision for that purpose that you and only you can fulfill. Okay? We have Mars opposite Pluto. Pluto's conjunct Ceres. So, okay, so this is like, there may be some old grief coming up. Maybe when you recognize how small you've been playing, how limited, the same old stuck story you've been in, and how people now view you in that stuck story. I know I have this myself. I think this is one of the techniques I will teach you today, a transformational technique. When you are in a stuck story and you've lived there a long time unconsciously, not knowing it, you've taught everybody around you to meet you there in that limited place. So they don't expect anything else from you. And then it keeps you stuck there because they can't see you in anything other than that. First, you see yourself in the expanded state, and then you start to teach people that. So before we get there, though, you may feel some grief about how long you've been playing small, how long you've been stuck in a story, a way of being, how long you have kept yourself locked up, chained up, imprisoned in your beliefs and story. I'm thinking of an old Eagles song. I'm hearing it. Let's see. You didn't even know you had the key. You didn't even know you had the key. You do have the key. We all have the key. We have the key to change in any moment, not just on a full moon, not on a new moon, not on a new year. When you find the key, or when you're willing to acknowledge you have the key to unlock yourself to unlock your brain, your mind from the old stories, the old patterns, the old beliefs, and free your soul um, to break free out of the limitations of your human conditioned way of being to this expanded possibility of your beautiful soul and your beautiful soul potential. I'm getting emotional. Oh, this feels so good. But that Mars opposite Pluto, remember, oppositions are, it can be like either we're in the Mars energy or the Pluto energy. We're either, and we've got to integrate, balance, integrate. And the way we do this, every story, every player in the story of a natal chart has a need to be met. So Mars opposite Pluto, Mars now retrograde in Leo. The need of this story is a need to review where you have dishonored your own passion, your own drive, your own energy, your own way of being in the world. It's Leo. It's like, where did you take the back seat when you need to be the driver of your story? And so it's retrograding. Mars retrograding opposite Pluto is reviewing where you've been disempowered, where you lost the remember a couple, was it the new moon? I was talking about igniting your soul fire, where your own inner fire went dim because you weren't feeding it. You weren't feeding your passion. And I think there's a lot of, because Leo, people get so afraid. I hear it all the time. That person's in their ego, too much in their ego. Leo can feel like ego. We're building ego here. No, we're building empowered creativity and expression. So Mars retrograde is where have you denied your own expression, your creativity, okay? So that's the need of Mars. Now Pluto's need is to go deep into, and it's in Aquarius, all the limitations of your own free spirit. Where have you not been liberated yet? So Pluto in Aquarius wants to liberate you. That's the need. And Mars in Leo wants you to shine. So we integrate those. And so that may be like a question. Where can I liberate my passion for creativity? Where can I liberate my full expression to serve humanity? Do you see? So we pose the question where both needs are met. They both get to get engaged in offering the gifts of, the aspect. Okay. Does that make sense? I hope so. Oh, by the way, please do comment and anything that you take away, anything you have a question about. And I forgot, I offered a giveaway and I kind of forgot to announce it, and I don't know if I'm still going to do it because nobody's been playing along. I think I have a couple comments, but I'm going to post this, and on the full moon, I will do a giveaway for a free session with me. For every comment, not just random comments that are like, oh, I took away this, or I liked what you said about that, or here's my question about this, under this video or any of my videos, for each comment you make, I will put a name in for the giveaway. So then I'll pick one name for the winner of the free session, but I'm just saying, I think it's still happening. I just forgot about it, but I'm waking it up. So this is a full moon that is waking us up more and more and more and more, right? So expand, we also have something with Saturn here. Saturn, oh yeah, okay. So Saturn is also square Jupiter. So Saturn square Jupiter is like expand into your highest potential and then bring it down to earth. And what are your actions? This is, as I say, my term vision actionary. What practical actions do you take towards your vision? So we have to, these are growing pains, the expanding and contracting, expanding, contracting, until we get to this new way of being, collectively, individually and collectively. Okay, so a couple of things to offer that you can do with this full moon. So I want to say the one that came forward connected to the old stories. When you have been doing a lot of transformation, I know a lot of my clients, my friends, myself, when you do a lot of transformation and you're no longer the person that you used to be when, say, your family of origin has a picture of you being, or say friends, or even your partner. You've shed an old way of being, but they still have you held in this sort of energetic blueprint of, no, this is who you are. This is how I know you to be. And people don't really want us to change out of how they know us to be, because that means they have to change out of who they know themselves to be. So I call it getting current with me. So this is the setup. When you find people are still trying to pull you back into the old way of being because that's familiar to them, for them, it's comfortable for them, but you've way outgrown that place, if it feels like the person can hear you and meet you, then you start a conversation like this. I know that you know me in a certain way of being, like who I was a year ago or 20 years ago. And I sense you still feel I'm that person, but that is not what I resonate with anymore. I've done a lot of work to change and to no longer live in that old place. So I'm inviting you, and here are the keywords. I'm inviting you to get current with me now. I'm no longer that person. Who I am now is. And this is where you can invite them to who you are, whether you're completely there 100% or you're still becoming. It's a space you're holding for you, that you want to invite those who can hold space with you there to see you there and support you there and love you there. So I invite you to get current with me. This is who I see myself now. I no longer do this. I no longer that. Like, say people who like stop drinking, or it takes a while for people to stop offering the drink, right? I know, I want you to get current with me. I no longer drink. I no longer find pleasure in that. But who I am now is I can hang out and have a good time whether I'm drinking or not, right? So that's one. And then the next thing I would invite you to do, again, is I touched on this, is get real with yourself. You can journal, where have I been lying to myself? Or where am I out of integrity with who I know I am truly at the core of my soul, right? Where are you still not speaking your truth, stuck in those old hand-me-down beliefs, stuck in an old way of being because you're afraid if you move out of it, you're going to lose the need of belonging and love. And we have to risk letting those things go in order to grow. There was something else that just came. Let's see if I can reconnect to it. Okay. It was a whisper and I lost it. Okay. So getting real with yourself, where you're lying to yourself, speaking your truth. Come back. Okay. Identifying limiting patterns and ways of being willing to release them, let them go. So you can have more creative, empowered choices that your creativity and curiosity can guide you to. So reflect on those old limiting stories that you tell over and over again, write them out, then burn them or shred them, release them. Then take out a new sheet of paper and write this prompt at the top. My new, empowered, expanded story is that I am. So again, my new, empowered, expanded story is that I am. And then just let your soul write on across the paper, your soul expressed on paper. I am unlimited. I am abundant. I am this that is trying to emerge through you. Let the new story come to hold you. And then if you want to take an extra step, it's always good to do visioning at the end of the year for the new year, but this time feels really potent. Create a vision board that mirrors this new, expanded, empowered story with higher possibilities for you. And I love it if you feel comfortable enough sharing any part of your new story, or just an I am message that's going to hold you for this moment, for the new year, when a lot of change is going to be happening. We're all going to be growing and expanding in multiple ways. Also, I don't know, can you add a picture to a comment under YouTube? I don't know. Or email it to me. Email me your vision board and let me be part of your vision. And I'd love to be part of your walk alongside of you as you emerge your new story and create your new vision. That's my expertise. All right, thanks so much for being with me. This is my longer version, but see how it takes me a while to get it. And like, even I get these little niggling like whispers. Like, I could sit here and try to track that and follow it. It'll probably come once I'm done recording, and maybe I'll put it in the comments. But peace be with you during this lunation cycle and every day of your life. Choose your soul possibilities every day. Choose to nurture your possibilities. Choose, not only on this full moon, but every day, to shed what no longer supports or never possibly supported the authentic true nature that's been wanting to come forward more and more. That is you. And you and your unique way of being is needed on the planet more than ever. So I hope something I offered you today was supportive. Let me know your takeaways. Peace and blessings.